Good evening and welcome back, Diablo fans. It's time for another episode of Westmarch Workshop. We've got not a lot of news tonight. That's okay, because I feel like Nineball and I can talk about pretty much anything for hours on end.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. So that's okay. Do you guys have a random topic? Because if you do, just email it to us and we'll talk about it forever. It doesn't matter what it is. If it's like I don't know, what our thoughts are on dogs pooping outside. I don't know. We'll talk about it.
That's so
Just,
graphic.
no, just kidding. Yeah, that is kind of graphic. So just kidding. This is a podcast about Diablo. So tonight we've got a surprise PTR. We're also going to touch a bit on AoE damage versus single target damage, and we're going to answer your guys' emails. So you've heard him tonight already, guys. Speaking of Nine Ball, let me introduce Mr. Nine Ball.
Oh, hi.
Oh hi!
Oh, hi.
Oh hi!
How y'all doing?
Oh hi yo! So I
Okay,
told
we did this one already.
I know, because this is like how our intro started when we started our Skype call,
Yes.
and I go in on to say Ohio, and I want to hear how many people have memorized the song 50 Nifty United States, where they can say the 50 states within like a minute or so. Because I learned that in fifth grade, and it'll stick with me forever.
And I have no idea what he's talking about. And then he
So
went
you never
in
heard it.
and he did it for me. And it was just like that. That's great.
Yeah, I'm gonna spare you guys, but it's
I
pretty
prefer
cool.
the Animaniacs version.
There's an Animaniacs version
Yeah,
of what?
of all 50 states.
Really?
Yeah. Maybe it was the capitals.
Animaniacs.
Yeah.
The things you learn on Westmarch Workshop.
Yeah, I'm trying to. They did those crazy songs all the time. Anyways.
In capitals. All right, I'm looking it up, saving it for later.
Okay.
There we go.
Good decision. Good decision. So,
how's it going?
I'm doing great. How about yourself? How was your week since we last chatted?
My week. We're gonna get into it. All right. Well, okay. So I'm that guy this week.
Spoiler.
I hate being that guy, but I am that guy. I have not played a whole lot this week. Man, this week has been like just crazy from like the time that we left last week to right now. Like I have not sat down hardly at all. Like I've gotten on to like check in, see how the clan's doing, do the daily clan maintenance, see who's wanting to get in on the clan, like who hasn't been around for a while, do that, the daily thing, and talk and see how people are doing and stuff like that. Other than that, like I haven't done like a ton, and I hate saying that because I mean, like I don't like, like when you're listening to a podcast, you're like, oh man, this guy doesn't even play the game. Like, what's he talking about? I do play the game. I just haven't played a whole lot this past week.
You gotta believe me.
I know, you gotta believe me. So, and the main reason why is hunting season started this past weekend for me. It's bow season, and so it starts early. So it starts October 1st in Indiana, and I have taken like my entire weekend I spent out in the tree stand with my wife, my lovely wife. She wouldn't wake up like bright and early with me like when I was like heading in there at like 6 in the morning, but like once she like woke up and stuff like that, she'd come out and sit with me. And I didn't get anything this past weekend, unfortunately. I saw a bunch, and we got about an 8-pointer that is hanging around the area, and we have a lot of time on our hands when we're sitting in there. So we just like, and everybody like names their bucks that they're looking for. And so we decided to name this buck Milkshake because we decided he brings all the boys to the yard.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, that's kind of clever.
I figured that is exactly where you're going with it. I'm glad that my guesstimation wasn't off.
Yeah. See? So, yeah, Milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. So we've got this other really young buck that I've seen a lot of him, and he's been within shooting range for me, but I've kind of let him go because he's really small, and so we call him Luke because my dog's name is Luke, and he's basically young and dopey, like just kind of runs around like do do do. He's not real smart, so we call him Luke.
Mhm.
So other than that, I didn't get anything, but yeah, that's been like my weekend, and so my weekends are usually my main time to play. During the week, I'm working a lot and doing house stuff, family stuff. So
Yeah, I've never been hunting, but I have done archery in the past. So
it's fun.
I feel as if we should go through and like get together at some point just to like hang out and go
Okay.
shooting.
See, and like that's the thing that I think I've. So this is my like I'm pretty new to to bow hunting, and so but that's like been the thing that I've come to love the most about it is not the actual like okay, hunting the deer is really fun to me, but like training in the off season has been really exciting for me. Like getting good at the actual instrument and like
Hmm.
because there's so much room for error, and you really can't blame it on a whole lot other than like your errors. And so, yeah, like archery itself is really fun.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we're gonna have to shoot some
So
arrows sometime.
yeah, though you might laugh a little bit. The archery that I was in was in a medieval reenactment group, so it was just a recurve, wasn't a
Ooh.
compound or anything like that.
See, I've always been
So
interested in shooting a recurve though, because a
yeah.
lot of people still do hunt with those.
Yeah, I mean those things still had a lot of power.
Yeah, they do.
There was a guy that had like an 80-pound recurve, and he put
Oh my gosh.
there's some other guy made a shield out of aircraft aluminum. It was a good like inch and a half thick of this aircraft aluminum, and they wanted to go through and test it out. So at I think it was about 15 yards, it was really close. He goes through and he plucks at it with an 80-pound recurve,
Oh
and
my
it puts a
gosh.
dent in it. It doesn't go through, but it puts a noticeable bevel in the back end of the shield where it went through and hit it. And it
That is
was
ridiculous.
yeah, and that's one of those ones. He was only at 15 yards. If he had been at like 30 yards or so and allowed that arrow to get up to velocity, it might have done some more damage. It was interesting.
They shoot hard for sure.
Yeah,
So
it was a lot of fun. I know Shepard was in chat going through and asking, you know, because his daughter's getting into archery. It's one of those, don't grip the bow.
Yep.
Just when you go through and you just teach her when she goes and pulls back that string, let the force of the bow hold it in your hand. Because if you grip it, like when you're gripping onto it, as soon as you let go, you're twisting. The force of the
Yep.
grip twists it. So you just hold it open-handed. Thank you for joining us on our Diablo podcast, where we're going through and giving you tips for archery.
Yep.
We're
Bingo.
it's like real life Diablo role
Yeah. So
playing,
like, I
something like
really
that.
felt like a true real life demon hunter this weekend. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I did like speaking of like shooting things that you probably shouldn't. Like I shot my mother-in-law's chicken coop this week on accident. So
right.
we had the target set up, and my arrow went straight through the target because I raised up my poundage. And I'm a pretty
Hmm.
tall guy, and so it shoots extra hard for me because I have a really long uh, arm length, and
Hmm.
so it went straight through and hit her chicken coop, and we had to dig it out with pliers. So I felt really bad when I had to go in and tell her, but
Oopsies.
she likes me, so it's okay.
Aw.
Anyway,
Anyway,
that was been my non-weekend gaming.
and
I feel like a
um,
slacker.
when
How's your week been?
my week's been
What?
pretty good. Someone from work brought in alligator jerky that she had hunted
Oh,
and killed,
that's good.
because it's alligator season right now in Florida. So I'm going to be expecting deer jerky from you.
I will be sending out deer jerky to a few people who have asked me so far. That I know now we're gonna get like a ton of people asking. Like, I know you and
uh,
Leviathan have been asking for quite a bit.
hmm.
That, and I know Brandy has been asking. She said she's gonna ask for some if I didn't make it real peppery. So I'm gonna
There we
send it out to
go.
you
There we
guys.
go. Um,
So
So
how's your
yeah,
weekend? Weekend gaming?
my weekend gaming. I haven't played Diablo too much, but I have broken Paragon level 500.
All right.
Yeah, so there's that little thing. Every new level is a new record for me, so that's great. I finally was able to complete my solo 50 clear on the Crusader, and it was I didn't think I was gonna make it. It
Okay.
was one of those ones. The thing went through, popped up. You completed the rift in 14 minutes 59 seconds, and the counter at the end of it said you finished the rift with 0 seconds remaining. Because it
Oh.
was literally one of those ones where it hit on the screen as I was killing Orlash. It hit zero, and then the counter disappeared, and I figured I missed it, but he died, and I got credit. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so that was one of those ones, skin of the teeth, and it wouldn't have been. It's just like one of those. It wouldn't have been as hard, and I wouldn't have cut it as close if it wasn't for Sand Dwellers. I didn't proc at all this time, but it was just one of those ones where it's like, oh, there's a Sand Dweller there. I am skipping it, just running forward. I just have to
Because
keep going.
they are rough on Crusaders, like particularly
Especially
Crusaders.
yeah. So it's just one of those ones. It's like, okay, I got to keep going. Or what I ended up having to do a lot was if there was a couple sand dwellers or was getting into an elite pack, if I kept running, is just constantly using, um, falling sword with flurry, so it keeps them stunned because they keep getting picked up by the little whirlwind, and it
Mm.
keeps them from doing the animation where they put up their reflecting cloud. So it's just that's one of those ones is just it's annoying. Hate the mobs. Absolutely hate them. They trigger me about as Gloams did back in D2. Um,
Mm. I remember those guys.
and it's like Minigies is going through and seeing it is saying in chat, it's like you see them and just quit the rift, and I have, even like 48s 49s if I go into that first level and I see one, but I'm already like 60% of the way through the rift, and they just suddenly spawn halfway through the second level, and it's like you gotta be freaking kidding me. I was doing so well, ahead on time, they started popping up, and it was just like, okay.
That's really interesting that you bring that up,
Hmm.
because actually Altair sent in an email about that exact same thing.
Hmm.
And we can talk about it later, but that was basically his dilemma. Is like he's like 80 to 90% done with this rift, and he gets these I don't even remember what they were. They were what were they? Oh, they were the demolishers, and he's like, do I leave? Do I continue on?
Hmm.
And I'll leave you with a cliffhanger until we get to the community feedback.
Yeah, yeah,
What's gonna happen? Don't tell him,
it
Altair, because you're probably in the chat.
and there's also just on going because my previous highest attempt that I had done was 48. I hadn't completed the 48. I'd only completed 47, so I went back in to do the 48, and it was a breeze. I didn't have any problems. The 49 I cleared with plenty of time. But after going back and rerunning 49 a couple extra times to level up my gems a little bit before I went for the 50, I realized that I guess the first time I had just gotten the perfect rift. Because I cleared 49 with like almost 5 minutes remaining, and then the next times that I did it, I had like a minute 30 remaining. I guess just like that mob density and your mob selections, because the next times I got it, it was a bunch of ghosts, it was a bunch of skeleton archers, it was a bunch of the little what is it? I think it's the subjugators, the little guys from Act 4 that ride on top of the Armageddons that throw the fireballs. Those
Oh
things
yeah, yeah.
hurt. They hurt bad, even with the esoteric alteration. Just so many things with those ranged attacks and being a relatively melee based build because the hammers don't have that great of range,
Yep.
especially when you're trying to control which ones get the damage bonus from Johanna's Guard. It was it was painful. It was a lot. I procced twice during that rift and had to kind of slow it down a little bit, or play in between like my proc and my prophet. The Akarat's champion prophet cooldown. Just because
Hmm.
it was just like all of a sudden it was just like bam, out of nowhere, and I would get chunked down to I have like 20% of my health remaining, and having to pop a potion, or something along those lines. It was just it sucked, and because it's like I can go into melee and I'm fine. I have a string of ears, but when it comes to the ranged attacks, it really hurts because my physical resistance is actually pretty low. It's only like 1100. So it's just one of
Oh,
those ones that it's like that you don't really think of those archers much, but they're one of those ones I really have to look out for because I have such low physical resistance that I'm using the esoteric as opposed to the wildebeest gizzard, and
mm-hmm.
those little hits, they hit me for like 20k, and so when there's five of them, that they're chunking out 100k of my health, like every volley that they do, it hurts,
It
painful.
really does those high levels, and that's why like you see everybody look they're just searching so hard for that secondary affix
Mm-hmm.
on gear and like at the higher levels of that reduced range attacks because man they hurt they really do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
if you guys see that affix on your gear, keep it.
yeah, physical resist. It's one of those ones. It's like you have a
Yeah, that
decent
one
amount.
too.
Yeah, you have like a decent amount of all resist to raise it up there, and then physical resist, and either the melee or range reduction. That's why a lot of people still will use like the Eye of Etlich just because it's an obscene amount of range reduction. Is
Mm-hmm.
that there's so much out there that counts as ranged, like
Mm-hmm.
molten and the fire patches for molten and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I leveled up. I got my Bane of the Trap to 50, Esoteric and Stricken are almost there. I got the Greater Rift 50 done for my seasonal journey. I'm working on the gyms, and then I just have to go through and get another conquest, and I'll complete. I think that was Conqueror, and then I'll just have Guardian left in front of me.
Yep.
Which preparing for that, the Witch Doctor is getting nice and geared up. I have 3 pieces of Helltooth at the moment, and
Nice.
working more from there. So that's getting all nice prepped and ready. I just once I get the set completed, I can start working on a weapon, and
To get
just having
your
fun.
to which part are you working on for that?
Well, as right now I'm collecting, I'm farming greater rifts on the Crusader and then dumping blood shards into them. And so right now I'm just working on completing uh completing the Helltooth set. I
Right.
found
For the
the white.
seasonal journey, which
Uh,
portion are you I forget what
that
you
is going
left
to
on
be
for that.
these solo 60 clear,
Oh yeah.
and yeah, and then
That's
also
right.
just probably will be the easier way of completing some of the conquests.
Mm-hmm.
Like the solo 40 with no class sets would be a lot easier for the Witch Doctor, or like
Man, I
getting a
get so
group
close to that.
together. Yeah, getting a group together for like the all bosses on Torment 10 in 30 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's some of the ones.
Yeah, I
And
made
then
it. I made it through the 40 greater. I think it was last week that I did the greater of 40 with no sets, but I didn't do it in time, unfortunately. So
uh,
womp womp.
yeah, Hanzo is actually one of the topics I wanted to talk about. I don't know if we want to hit up this first or like do
Yeah,
the
let's do it.
news. That's okay. Let's do it. We've got some news. Actually, let's do the news first, just because. Let's try and
Okay.
stick to a tradition. Hanzo is going through and saying fix area damage, and that's going to be part of our topic of conversation for tonight. But before that, yeah. So just as the episode title would suggest, there's a PTR, but it's not what you'd expect. But it's good. It's still good.
Man, I got my hopes up.
Yeah. This week they originally it was posted that it was going to be October 6th, but now they've expanded it from the 6th to the 9th. They're calling it the PTR Server Slam, where they are trying to implement changes to fix the just the like abnormal amount of server lag and disconnects that have plagued season 4 since the get-go. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of focus testing for specific skills, particularly ones that knock back mobs or group them all up into like tight packs, and it kind of like is one of those. I wonder. Is it the actual mob, not so much like the amount of damage that's being calculated for the Helltooth Witch Doctors? It was the number of calculations that it had to be going on like per mob, But for a lot of the server stability issues, it looks as if it might actually have something to do with knockback effects.
which could be interesting. Like, and I really don't know much about it, but like, could it be because there's so many enemies changing like location so quickly, and then like changing again, basically? Because if you're pulling them all in and then knocking them all back,
Hmm.
like that's a lot of calculations really fast that you have to do.
Yeah, this one I actually tried researching a little bit today, and I couldn't find anything concrete. But obviously anyone from Blizzard that's listening, I would love to hear from you and correct me if I'm wrong. But there's the way that I believe that the game works is that on both the client side and the server side, it predicts the movements of mobs, and you get the rubber banding effect because the server side will always win. So the client side might think that your character is here because you're going and telling it here, but due to a little bit of lag or whatever, you'll rubber band. So
Yeah,
you'll be pulled back in between the updates when they sync with one another. And it could be that a lot of the stability issues are coming from when the mobs are getting moved around. If the client side is also trying to predict the movement of mobs, and then the server side is having to match that up. So it's one of those that
that's
just
interesting.
if it's constantly that there's like something with the syncing issues and having so many mobs placed because season 4 helped to fix mob density again in rifts, and so we've been seeing a lot more tighter packed rifts, and you're seeing kind of like a return of the grouping, like a huge focus on grouping with Cyclone Strike and such, and kind of a return slightly of area damage for certain classes for getting these higher rift clears. And so it's a lot going on, and you think on the game screen, oh, the mob just got pushed back a yard, but we don't know how much that entails on the coding side of it. Like how big is that? Like how resource intensive is that for those calculations? And so it looks like it might actually be kind of big
Yeah,
indeed. But
and I can foresee like there being becoming more issues like with this, like the lag, like the higher, like the higher difficulty we get in this game, like where there's like more enemies, killing enemies quicker, like more, graphical effects hitting the screen all the time. Like, I've seen a lot of people complain lately, like that, like the screen's just too busy all the time, because there's so much going on. You can't even see like, like you can't see all the different colors and what's actually going on. And like, I feel like the more complex the game gets, the more lag issues we're going to encounter.
hmm
So that's interesting.
yeah, because this isn't specifically set up to like this PTR isn't really set to go through and look into those ones that are causing like lags due to graphics
No, yeah, I know,
where
I
it
know. I'm
slows
just
down.
saying,
Yeah,
like, those things will also start to, I think, be like become an issue. I would think,
yeah,
but I don't know.
definitely. I mean that's what a lot of the optimizations to I mean the Carnival optimizations that came with 2.3 with only the five closest fetishes shooting the darts as opposed to everything, and some of the ones that they've done to help Helltooth lag.
Hmm.
So yeah, we will see, we will see. But this is definitely something to go through and check out. It's running. It started yesterday, October 6th, and it will go through October 9th, and it's between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that will be 9 and 11 Eastern Time for the U.S. servers.
Cool.
Yeah. Definitely something that's worth going and checking out. Obviously, nothing copies over from the PTR. This is specifically to test just lag and server stability, but they do need as many people on their testing as possible so they can collect feedback and information. There's a lot of things like achievements are broken, a lot of other crap like that, but it's just because this is
It's
testing.
not what they're focused on.
Yep. Nope. That's all that it is.
Do you know? Because I know they were originally yesterday. They were doing the legendary increased legendary drop rate. I don't know. Have you heard if they're continuing that for the
Yeah,
remainder of this?
yeah, it's going to be for the entirety of the PTR. You will have the 1000% legendary drop buff, specifically because they want you to get some of the items like the Grin Reaper or the S of Johan to test those. 'Cause those are the S of Johan is one of the items that will pull in enemies towards you, and the Grin Reaper just creates mimics that will copy your skills, which a lot of the times will you're going to have Piranado, which the mimics will then all start casting it as well.
Boom.
Yeah, so just some things to go and check out.
We'll see.
Yeah. And one other thing that we did have, as far as like kind of like pseudo official news, not really so much official, but we got another one of their like little weekly Twitter updates on the official Diablo Twitter account.
Yep.
I'll bring it up on the screen right here. They wanted you to choose a ring. This
Choose
time
a ring.
it is focused on wizards. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger for people. Um,
So we should have had Nerdwords on for this week instead of last week.
exactly.
He would have talked for about 3 hours on this.
Yeah, so here it is. A wizard question. It's comparing a convention of elements versus the Halo of Arlise. So this one is basically asking, do you want damage or do you want survivability? Because I think everyone's familiar with the convention of elements, which has the rotating damage bonus, but the Halo of Arlise, which if you don't play wizard, you're probably not as familiar. It's just it gives you a buff to ice armor, reduces incoming damage from melee attacks by, in this particular one, 52%, and automatically cast Frost Nova whenever you take 10% of your life in damage.
Yep.
Yep, and so this one is kind of like damage versus survivability, and even though I don't play a wizard that much, and even though I play hardcore, I want to say the convention is going to win
Yep.
almost
I,
every time.
I was looking at a lot of the responses, and it seems almost unanimous. I would say like 99 out of 100 people were saying convention of elements. Um, I mean, because you know, you, a lot of times your damage is going to be part of your survivability. Like if you're killing quick enough, your survivability isn't as important. And
Hmm.
so even in hardcore, I mean, obviously you have to take into survivability and toughness like a little bit, like I mean, well, a lot, but it's not as important as damage, like by I would say by a long shot.
Hmm.
And
With,
so
with just the severe effect of the convention of elements and what it has on your damage during that little
yeah, it's
like
big.
that 4 second time period of being able to just like melt everything around you is come into um going to come into more play to improve your clear times as opposed to the halo, which is just going to be one of those ones I take less damage, but it's just that also kind of comes into my topic earlier about like having the string of ears. It's just it only benefits your damage that you're taking from melee attacks when there's so much out there which isn't considered a melee attack or is a ranged attack or is some other damage bonus or something along those lines. It's one of those ones where it's just it's just not that great. If it was like, well, ice armor was in effect that reduces all damage you take by 52%, then sure, why not? It's a unity replacement. We don't know.
So that's a really interesting point. Like, and Miniggy just brought like kind of mentioned that in the chat is like he thinks that maybe they could be, kind of gauging what people really think about the spots that people do consider mandatory. Like, you know, in your ring slots, you're almost always going to use, uh, focus and restraint for damage, or unity and uh, I don't some something unity and something else
Yeah.
for toughness and
Yeah, it really kind of is. It's like you either use focus and restraint and cube a unity if you need damage reduction, or you cube like a convention of elements or an obsidian ring of the zodiac,
yeah.
or you are using like a convention of elements and a stone of Jordan or a skull grasp or something along those lines if you're not using a focus and restraint. But it's always just like the rings are such
Few options.
pure damage. I mean, we
Hmm.
have more options than what we had previously, which was like, Stone of Jordan and Ring of Royal Grandeur. We actually do have alternatives. Like there's, if you don't use a generator, or I should say, if you do use a generator, you have focus and restraint, huge damage potential there. And if you don't use a generator, you don't feel that bad because then I can still use Convention of Elements in Unity, and still then be able to cube like an Obsidian Ring of the Zodiac. So it's a lot going on at play there.
Yep. 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 Yep.
But then
So
if you want to have something on the defensive side of things, it has to be, like a Unity level, or just halves all damage that you take in order to compete with the pure amount of damage that those ring slots give you. Besides your weapon, there's some of like the biggest increases to your damage overall.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, even if you decided to go toughness, like the halo of Arlice or Arlice, I would say probably isn't the way to go anyway. Like, I mean, Unity is going to be your go-to for
Hmm.
solo play at least.
Yeah, because this one only applies to melee. Unity is going to apply to everything.
Yep. So
Yes, sirree,
sounds
Bob.
pretty unanimous.
Hmm.
Um,
So you heard it
Nerdwords.
here first. The non-wizard playing duo suggests the convention of elements.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Say Nerdwords, send us an email and tell us why we're wrong.
Yep, tell us why we're
So,
wrong.
love to hear it.
Hmm.
So
Uh,
yeah,
but yeah, going on from there, that kind of about sums up the official news. I guess a little bit of speculation. Um, when we saw that the PTR was going live, that was one of those like, oh, cool, PTR, especially after last week when I'm going and saying, oh, we should be getting a. I'm not sure if I said it on the episode or if it was in a Twitter conversation afterwards, but we're hoping that we actually get like a 2.4 PTR sometime for the next couple weeks. I would expect and hope it to be before BlizzCon, which is only a month away.
yeah. Man, I just like, and we talked about this a little bit on Twitter. I just don't think it's going to come that fast. Like, I feel like we just got 2.3, and I know they are working on 2.4, but like, it doesn't seem like we've had the cube for that long, or we've had like these um, new legendary mats to play with a whole lot, and like it's only been like what a month and a half now or so. It's just
Hmm.
it's hard for me to imagine that we're getting 2.4 that quickly.
Yeah, I guess it just is one of those, when before for season three, they said, the season will last at a minimum 4 months.
Yeah,
And so everyone took that, oh, okay, so it's going to be like 5 or 6 month season, and they hit
right.
pretty darn close to the target on that one. And so when they're saying, oh, this one's gonna be 3 to 4 months, I guess I'm erring more on the side of three as opposed to four,
I am
giving me
too.
hope.
No, yeah, I
Um,
would agree with that.
yeah, because if it's gonna be a 4 month season, then waiting until BlizzCon to announce it would make sense. That would fit the time frame for a 2 month PTR. If they want a 3 month season, then we would kind of need the PTR soon, very soon. And it also just kind of entails that if what we all hope and are wanting, which is expansion number two, they would be announcing an expansion and patch 2.4 at the same time. That would be a lot of mixed signals. So it's one of those ones where it's like I would think that they would want to announce 2.4 ahead of the expansion, but then they having to go through and try and work on both at the same time. It's like which one are we gonna get?
I I think, and here's what I'm thinking, and I don't really have a whole lot to back this up. I think we will get an expansion announcement at BlizzCon. Unfortunately, because I won't be there, and so if I can't be there, I don't want anyone else to enjoy it either. But no, just kidding.
Oh,
But
you.
no, I do think we'll get the I think we'll get a big announcement at BlizzCon. I don't think it's going to be just another hey, here's 2.4 and then crickets in the audience. I don't think it's going to be that. But I don't know if I foresee 2.4 coming before then. Um, like I could foresee like another small patch being announced before then, like a
Mhm.
2.3.1 or whatever. Um, but like, man, eh, but I see what you're saying because then like if they did that, then like would they have to announce 2.4 at the same time as the expansion? But like I'm wondering if maybe they said, okay, here's 2.4, 2.3.1, and then like a few weeks before BlizzCon, and then BlizzCon comes, they give the announcement, and then maybe a month or so later say, "Here's 2.4," because they're gonna announce the expansion, but we're not gonna get the expansion right away.
Oh no.
It's gonna be a year or so, right? Like, or maybe not that long, like 6 months or
Yeah,
so.
6, 7 months, something along those lines.
Yeah,
And I mean, if even if they go through and say like push it out 8 months, it would be it'd almost be perfect because you'd be able to finish off Reaper with patch 2.4 and just have like an extended like 6 month, 5 month season or something like that, and then go into or like do like a 4 month season, a mini 3 month season or 2 month season to round it off, and then go into expansion two, if they do expansion two. Which I guess is just kind of like that big question. It's like, what are they going to do? What are they going to have done? They're still hiring for that art director for unannounced project, which obviously they're working on something. They're not going to be like working on art director for patch 2.4. It's got to be something big, whether it's
mhm.
Diablo 4 or expansion 2 or something else that they do with Diablo and take it in some other direction we haven't been thinking of. I don't know. Um, but yeah, yeah,
Love tinfoil hat time.
yeah. And it's also strange because we're like the only Blizzard franchise right now that's having to wonder about this.
I know.
StarCraft 2, before the game even came out, they're like, you're getting two expansions. World of
Yeah.
Warcraft, they're already, when the when Warlords of Draenor came out, they're already were talking about they have a team at work on the next expansion.
Mm.
It's one of those ones where it's like, and they already committed like World of Warcraft. They're trying to get themselves down to like a 1 year per expansion like time frame. We know if you are a WoW fan, your expansion's coming. If you're a StarCraft fan, you've known for the last 5 years that Legacy of the Void was coming. You knew what to expect. Hearthstone, you kind of know I'm going to get a card expansion and then a mini adventure expansion every year. And in Diablo, we're like, what's next? Where are you going?
Yeah.
It's the one that it's always like we're
It's a
just kind of,
struggle.
yeah, it's like we're just kind of left here. It's like, is there going to be more, or are we going to continue, or are we going to get an expansion, or are you just going to kind of like do a kind of like a free DLC super patch that adds in like a new mini act or something like that? Got the ruins of Shesharon. Would they go through and drop in something new that's just like a couple new zones and it's like Act 5.5 type thing? We're not as big as say like what Westmarch and Pandemonium were, but just something tiny, kind of like Tristram. I don't know. Well, well, we'll have to see. We will have to see.
So here's my prediction. I predict
Oh God,
2.3.
is
It's
this
a
lore?
legit.
Is this okay? All
No,
right.
it's not lore. It's not lore. Don't worry.
Okay,
They're
well,
talking
just
about
wondering.
lore
I was just
in
wondering.
clam chat right now.
That's what got me scared.
It's not lore. Don't worry. Although I will talk about the expansion sometime if you guys want to hear my prediction on the expansion.
Oh
That's
boy.
for another day. So all right, 2.3.1 coming in PTR coming in 2 weeks. It releases um, around the time of BlizzCon, and then we play that for a season. We get BlizzCon or expansion announced at BlizzCon. 8 months from there, so we play 2.3.1 for, 3 months or so. And then we get 2.4 for 3 months or so, 2.4.1 for 3 months or so, and then expansion. Boom.
Yeah, yeah. I would actually see 2.4 before 2.3.1. Yeah, obviously, 2.3.1 would have to come before, it wouldn't come after. But I would actually see a big patch and then a mini patch, just because if they push the big patch, they would be working on that in the expansion at the same time. So it's one of those ones I would see them going through and just doing like a 2.4 because they have to get that done and then focus, all hands on deck on expansion 2, which is one of those ones where it's just kind of like it's in my mind it's almost not adding up because where are they going to have the time for all of this? Pushing
Yeah.
it pushing it so close. I don't know.
I don't know, man. I see. I do think that they have 2.4 mostly done. I will
Yeah.
say that.
And Nevik is still waiting on patch 1.1 with his PvP. They still haven't lied. They still haven't lied. PvP coming in patch 1.1. They should do that as like an April Fool's joke, announcing
That
Diablo
would
patch
oh
1.1.
that would riot. That would you would get a riot. Like
Uh
the
huh.
internet would break.
Yeah. But yeah, whatever it is, I expect something big. Whether it is an actual expansion, but it's gonna be bigger than a patch, or at least it's gonna be bigger than any patch that
For
we've been used
BlizzCon.
to for this BlizzCon.
It
Definitely.
has to. And the other reason to get excited is that Will Wheaton said that
Get,
gear he tweeted up he was getting
yeah,
prepared for
yeah.
he was going back through and playing the Diablo story to get prepared for
Yeah,
BlizzCon,
and-
and then Stay a While and Listen is the what is it like the title of I don't know. I remember
it,
seeing the title somewhere.
it was a blog. It was the blog post that he made
That's
about his
right.
preparing for BlizzCon. It was stay a while and listen. So for those that don't know, Will Wheaton is going to be the host of BlizzCon. In previous years was done by Jay Moore. Whether you love him or hate him, I thought he always did a great job presenting at BlizzCon, and but now it's going to be taken over as Will Wheaton is the guest of honor. In his first official statement after being announced that he was going to be doing that was last week, and it was that in order to prepare for BlizzCon, I am playing through the Diablo 3 story.
Yep.
And it was just like I
See
could
that I feel like
read,
that's a good sign.
I could read a lot more into this than I probably should, but it's just something big is gonna be happening. I guarantee. Um,
I think that's okay to read into that.
uh huh.
There's
I
got to be
really
some
do.
like they didn't give us anything last year, and every other game had something. But
Yeah,
like this year's it's
and
the age of
And
Diablo.
it's not just because X Files is coming back to television, but I want to believe.
I want to believe.
See what I did there? See what I worked it
We
in.
believe.
I worked it in. Cyberwolf, that was for you.
Oh man,
Uh,
good old tinfoil hats.
yep. Uh, anyways, so yeah, what we were going through and kind of hinting at earlier, because I think that's it as far as like official news goes, or semi-official, unofficial, something official.
That's not official.
Yeah, that's far from official. Um, yeah, there there was a topic that I wanted to go through and cover. And this kind of goes still kind of going back to the Reddit Q&A. There was just so many like little great nuggets of information in there that we still have stuff to cover or speculate on. And what I want to talk about is, of course, something near and dear to my heart: the Demon Hunter, specifically the Melee Demon Hunter that will be coming in 2.4 with the revamp of the Shadows set. And it's a very interesting thing because in so many times they've talked about buffing. Wyatt has mentioned this a couple times in like developer posts or mentioning on Reddit and such. How do you balance single target damage versus AOE? And it kind of came down to you don't. It's like you could buff single target damage so high that it one shots mobs and it'll still lose out to AoE because when you have 50 mobs on your screen, you have to throw 50 attacks,
Yep.
in order to go and clear everything, as opposed to AoE, which might be able to clear the screen in four. And it's just that is that is what it came down to. Is just no matter how high you pushed that AOE or the single target damage, it always felt inferior to your AOE skills.
Hmm.
And yeah, so now they're actually going through and making a set that is focused on single target. And it's one of those just I don't know. It could work. There are definitely ways that they could work about it. I know that they were going to have Impale, which is what the set is kind of going to be based around, be able to like pierce targets. So you'll have a pseudo AoE that can go through and clip a couple enemies. But the real big question can is area damage the is area damage the thing that can save single target skills? You know, um, just for the fact that area damage turns your single target uh, into area damage.
Hmm.
So it makes it AoE at that point. But what we've seen in previous patches that area damage wasn't all that great. And even with the improvements to it in 2.3, it still is a lot leading to be left to be desired in it, just because it still doesn't work with 100% of skills. So you might have a skill that, due to a set bonus, is buffing its damage up and it's critting for 1 billion, and then your area damage you can have, 50%, or let's just make it easy, 100% area damage. So when it procs, it should hit everything else around it for 1 billion, but then it hits for like 30 million. And it's like, why is that? Well, it's because area damage, for the longest time, was broken and it wouldn't take into account item bonuses or set bonuses. It wouldn't up the skills damage, and they kind of fine-tuned it and fixed it, for a lot of skills, but not everything. I know like exploding palm is a big one that it doesn't work very well, if at all, with, and is just there's a lot of little tweaks that can still be done to make it better. And if it actually worked and it would, go through and proc off the damage, to the proper amounts, you could find that for like this single target melee demon hunter focused around Impale, that their best stat to help their clear times like rifts would be area damage. You have like a goal. You need to gear for 100% area damage, and then that's how you can do it. So that way you go through and you have that 20% chance to proc. You might have, like a bracer or a belt, which seems to be the off pieces to help complement sets. You might have a bracer which increases your chance of procking area damage. And that it could be like, you don't have to do anything big or special with Impale returning hatred and stuff like that. It could easily just be like increases your chance to proc area damage by 20%, and that's like your mandatory off piece. So that way you have a 40% chance of proccing area damage whenever you throw out an Impale, just to help clear packs.
Yeah, I just like the idea of a single target. Like, okay, I have to start out with saying that I'm really excited for the demon hunter, like the melee demon hunter. But I will say that the idea of a um, single target build, just like it scares the crap out of me. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like would feel good.
Yeah, I mean, here comes Nine Ball with another Diablo 2 story. But it's kind of like barbarians in D2. You could go whirlwind, which you could clear through mob packs like
Yep.
nothing, and then as soon as you got to a boss, it was full stop, can't do anything. Versus a frenzy barbarian, which you attack mobs just to get your stacks of frenzy up, so that way you can then run past the next group of mobs on your way to the boss,
I remember
because you
doing
were
that.
scrub and not using Enigma. because you didn't bot or you didn't, use one of those pay to win sites.
I
Uh,
remember that. I remember
yep.
those.
But then the frenzy barb would get to a boss and kill it in 3 seconds.
Yep.
That was like the single target versus AOE, and that's kind of like what it was in the D2, where you had a lot of uh, abilities where you're a caster and you didn't have crushing blow, so you just stacked your skills to obscene levels, so you had a ridiculous amount of damage. Or you're a melee based class and you had some spammable skill with that you could just proc crushing blow off of until you got them low enough that your damage could finish them off. And that was actually one of the things I loved about the Rift Ascend. It had decent AoE clearing abilities and could also, because you are attacking like 18 times a second or something like that, you'd crushing blow like nobody's business. That
Yep.
is a Rift rune word assassin. Go do it now. It will give you years of pleasure. Trust me. Um,
That's I guess that is like I mean the paladin. I remember the smite paladin in D2.
mhm.
I suppose he was kind of single target, and that felt good too.
Yeah, no, yeah, the Smiteidens, that was also another one that was, you were right, it was big single target damage. But then it's like in D2, it was always a group dynamic. It never really
Yeah.
was that big of a focus on single player. Especially not as much. There seems to be a much larger contingent of people that play D3 that are single player than there were D2. Because D2 back in the day was all about the BattleNet and going
Yep.
and running in bail groups and such, and that was just kind of like the way that you played. There was a very close knit single player community. It seems weird, but it was just a really close knit community for like the single player people, and they did their own thing. They had the varied builds and such because they couldn't rely on other people to go and do it. And replay is going and saying in chat, the only way to do Ubers was with a Smite Pally.
Yeah, it
Wasn't the
was.
only way, but damn, did it make it easy.
Oh, that's
Um,
that's the only reason I built up my smite palette was to
mhm.
do Ubers.
Yep. You just have that wand, you cast that level 1 life tab, then you just go to
Oh
town.
my gosh.
You
I forgot all about all that.
weapon swap back over and you just go to town. Never gonna die. Don't even see your health bar move. What is a potion? I don't even know.
But that is what I miss about, and I don't want to it will tangent here, but like I miss that about D2 is the Ubers were like that was like a really big deal in D2. Like
Mhm.
where like you had to do some serious planning and some serious work
Mhm.
to kill those Ubers. I miss that.
Yeah. Now it's just kind of like, oh, we're farming
It's almost
bounties. We're
yeah,
farming bounties to get mats for the cube. Oh, hey, let's just kill some key wardens while we're at it,
keywords
and
in
then
the
hey,
way.
you want to take 5 minutes to clear the Ubers? Okay, sure, why not? Back
Yeah,
then, it was like, okay, you guys ready? Yeah, let's do this, and it was an endeavor. It was even with like a
I
smite
miss that.
pally. Yeah, even with a smite pally, it could get dangerous
Hmm.
if you couldn't pull each of the Ubers separately and get them off in their little corner as opposed to having to deal with all of them at the same time. Because if Mephisto came along, yeah, you were kind of foobarred with his dang it, which aura was it? It was the aura that reduced your resistance. I forget what it was called.
I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't remember. I never ended up doing that many Ubers on Diablo
yeah,
2 because I spent too long preparing.
yeah. And also, it's not to say the rewards for doing Ubers is still pretty good. The Hellfire
Yeah,
amulets are
yeah,
like a best in slot for almost everyone, especially after the advent of the cube, where you could,
yeah.
if there was an amulet that you're using besides Hellfire. It was like Eye of Etlich just for the damage reduction, or you can now cube the property of whatever other one that you're wanting to. And so Hellfire amulets now are being used even more so since you can't cube them.
Hmm.
But the Hellfire torch, oh my god, those torches, that was mandatory. They were, I don't want to say game
Yeah.
breaking because everything about D2 was breaking the game. Yeah, but it's just that those things were like it was,
We're
you know,
so good.
it gave you pluses to all stats, which, you know, at the time all stats were useful. It gave you pluses to all resists. Then it also gave you skill bonuses, so it improved the abilities of everything that you did. So imagine having like one piece of gear that you wouldn't even have to equip; you just kept it in your bags, and you know it increases, you know, all of your skill damage by, you know, like 50 to 200% depending upon the scaling of the skill. Then also increased your all resist and, you know, gave you strength and vitality while you're at it,
Yep.
or, you know, your main stat and vitality, I should say. Been playing the Crusader a little bit too much lately. Um, but it was just one of those ones where it's just like that. We don't have anything quite that obscene.
Yep.
And even then, we also had the Annulus charm, you know, back then, which was the same thing. It was just it's I don't know.
So
There's certain items, but then it's like how would you do it? Because that was one of those ones you couldn't. But the Ubers you could farm, but it was a huge time investment because you had to go out of your way and farm the Countess, the Summoner, and Neelathok in order to get the keys for them. And it was a pain. It was bad
oh man.
because it's just like,
Download
it,
Diablo
yeah, it
2
was just
started.
it was just like having to go through and think of the Ubers now. That was the first step in D2. Because you would go through, you'd collect all the keys, you would collect the three sets of the three keys, so you would open up the three portals, you would go into the three portals, kill all the bosses, get the organs, and then combine the organs to open up another gate that you then fought all three of the Uber bosses at once, the Uber,
Yep.
Mephisto, Bale, and Diablo. Yeah, I forgot Diablo.
Yeah, and
Um,
you had to
I had to
corner
think
them,
about that
like
one.
bring
Um,
them out one at a time.
hmm And so it was like think about going through and doing, you know, you go through, you farm up all the keys for the Ubers, and then you take the all the Uber mats now, and instead of using that to create a Hellfire amulet, you then had to use all those to open up another gate that you then, you know, killed a collection of bosses that then dropped the amulet itself.
I really am installing Diablo 2 right now. I
uh,
gotta
there's a
go.
ladder reset coming up soon, I feel.
It's gotta be. It
It's
hasn't.
been a while,
It's
yeah, because
been
they're
about
doing a
what,
ladder
6 months or
reset every,
so.
yeah, every 6 months. Should do that sometime. Invite some listeners to come and play.
I am actually. I do actually want to play soon. So if anybody wants to play, let me know.
Oh, there you go.
I'm in.
Yeah, Nevik here in chat. It's maybe time for a Hellfire gem that sockets into your helm. I like it. Legendary gem for the helm. Hellfire gem that goes through and it procs something badass and increases some something for your,
Something.
yeah, something increases all damage by 20% and stacks everything, gives you all resist and blah blah, something like that. I don't know. I'm not a game designer. I want to be. I want
I
to
want
be.
to be.
Yeah.
All right,
Uh,
downloading. I
and
really.
then Bromfond in chat is saying that you don't have the collector's edition USB drive.
I do, and but I noticed that. So I do have the USB drive, but you have to. They're bin files, and I just looked up my files. They're bin files, and so you
Hmm.
have to get like daemon tools or something like that. So I think I've got. You can download the clients on Battle.net, and so
Yeah,
that's
as
what
long
I'm
as you
doing
have the
right
key
now.
registered.
Yep. So that's my route. Downloading right now. 1.51 gigabytes for classic. That's really big.
Hmm.
So anyway.
Yeah. And
uh,
if only it's like if it didn't take years to get to level 98 or 99, I'd play D2 again. That was something I think we mentioned that Archon and I talked about like back in the early episodes of the show. Or maybe it was with Flux, like way back in Gamers. I think it was actually probably both, but I do remember talking with Flux about it before D3 launched, about the actually having like a strict level cap as opposed to like the what took forever to get to 99, and just how
Yep.
that affected certain classes, because there was some like really nice builds that didn't like max out their effectiveness until like the late 80s, and so it would take a while to unlock versus, you know, actually something that might be easy like a Skellymancer or something that, you know, that they cap out at like 70 or 60, which is like nothing. You know, you can get that in a day, if that.
Yeah. You just bought.
It procs a he who shall not be named that gives you a negative 300% experience with minus 50% to meet the health. Fouch, Fouch, come on, dude.
He's talking about Jar Jar.
I know you said it.
That's for the listeners, the audio listeners, and not the live listeners.
The audio listeners got it because I said he who shall not be named.
Voldemort? Oh
Mm,
man. So that's all we really had for news, wasn't it?
yeah, thereabouts. Just, you know, I guess I'm really looking forward to the this was a topic about melee demon hunters.
Oh
I think
yeah,
I think it was a topic about melee demon hunters.
something like that.
Yeah, but it was, you know, definitely. I'm really looking forward to what they revamp for the Shadows set, as well as like the Invokers. I'm, you know, really excited. I was hoping that they would revamp Invokers so that we would get the you know, like a Thorn set as well as the Hammer set for 2.3. That didn't work out though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, just for the record, when anybody mentions he who shall not be named, I think of Sauron, not Voldemort.
Why? They could say his name, couldn't they?
The enemy. They
Yeah.
fear, they still, even in Lord of the Rings, they feared to say his name.
I feel like the Hobbit said it a lot.
I don't
And
think.
the
Oh,
in the movies at least. I don't remember the books very well.
yeah. In the books, Sauron himself wasn't really mentioned all that much. It was the
No, he
Necromancer
wasn't.
and Dol Guldur.
I haven't read those books in a long time.
They're,
This podcast always gives me more to-dos than I have time to complete. Oh, I need to
uh,
play
aren't
Diablo 2. I need to
oh,
read this. I need to read the Diablo books. That's not
mm,
happening. I
aren't you
need,
thankful? Right?
yeah, I have with all the time that I have.
Uh,
Yeah, about that.
yeah, about that. Uh, so you got anything else that you want to talk about for tonight's episode?
I don't think so. Have a good night, everybody.
There we go. We're skipping
Just kidding.
community feedback just so that way Lieutenant Lunatic can go to sleep at a decent time.
No, the Cubs are playing.
How are they doing? Is
They're
Back
up.
to the
They're up
Future?
4-0 right now.
There you go. So people that are listening to this on iTunes or listening on watching it on YouTube, you already know how it turned out. So we're stuck waiting in anticipation.
You can see the future.
Yeah, and you can see the future. Will Back to the Future 2 come to pass, which you shall not pass? I don't know.
They
Mixing
won't know yet, though.
mixing references here. I don't even know.
But no, I don't. I don't think I have anything else before community feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
We got a few emails though.
We do have a few emails, but there is one thing that we mentioned kind of casually on last episode about when we were reading feedback from listeners that were talking about their hardcore deaths.
Yes.
And we unfortunately, as we alluded to earlier, I guess you're now finding out, we had somebody sent one in. This is a longtime listener of the show, a big part of the clan, Altair.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this is his the screenshot
You're
of,
stealing my
of
email.
of his death. Well, go ahead and I will let you start off the community section and read this one. So there you
I'll
go.
fire it off. All right. So yeah, so he was really it just kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier is that he was in his rift and what was he doing? He was in rift 59. Well, I guess you can see that in the picture. So we do have a new thing that if you die and you and you can go into your documents folder, look up your screenshots for Diablo, and send us your death picture. That I have seen some pretty funny ones, like with the monk, when it flies off the screen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've seen some pretty good snapshots of the monk flying off, which is pretty funny. But so yeah, he was in a Rift 59, I think, trying it out, and um, he said he got into he was doing pretty well in time, and but he got into a narrow pathway and ran into some demolishers with arcane. He said normally he would just leave and just start over, but he said it was going pretty well, and so he wanted to keep going, and he's almost done. So if you look in the picture, he was almost done, and then
Mm-hmm.
he ended up procking right at the end when he saved the boss, the golden boss, for the last kill, and yeah, they threw a beam directly underneath him, and he insta-procced his cheat death passive, and so he took off. And there, he said suddenly out of nowhere, he thought he was safe, but a corrupted angel that he was neglecting during his time flew out of nowhere and took him out. So he had just rolled some really nice Uliana gloves. Um, they were really nice. Uh, he's got really good dexterity on them. They're ancient, uh, almost perfect. 980 out of 1,000, perfect crit hit damage, perfect crit hit chance, and
Actually,
then
I've got that up on the screen
oh,
right now.
nice.
Yep.
So he's got 980 dexterity, perfect crit hit damage, perfect crit hit chance, 6 out of 8 for reduced cooldown percentage, physical resistance, and ranged and melee attackers take 237, 2377 damage per hit. So those are some mean gloves. Those are some good ones.
I also want to point out the hidden Easter egg in this image. As you can tell, this one was a photo of the screen. You can actually see Altair, his reflection in the item
Yeah, you
itself.
can.
So there you go. There.
Oh, that's awesome. I never noticed that.
You just want to go through. It's something that I noticed and just wanted to point out. So there you go. You now have an idea of how Altair looks
Oh
with the
man.
phone in front of his face and while wearing headphones. So there you go.
He's
There you go.
naked too. So if you
He
can,
was actually wearing a sweater. But
yeah,
thank you for trying.
I tried. So yeah,
Uh,
that's really sucks. Is he said he spent a long time rolling those gloves. He said he spent like a week straight, um, just farming blood shards for these gloves, and finally got them, and he barely got to play with them.
mm-hmm.
So I feel you, man. I feel you. I'm still hurting on my bar of death last week. I really haven't recovered because of my limited play time. But R.I.P. Altair.
Yeah.
R.I.P. So
Um. Yeah. And I guess from there, we'll actually get into the community feedback itself. But please, yeah, if you're one of our hardcore listeners and you had a pretty memorable death and a story to go along with it, send it in and we will add it into, I guess, the Hall of Fallen Heroes segment.
yeah, I like
So,
that.
yeah,
The
we can.
problem is that this isn't going to be very encouraging for people who we're trying to talk into playing hardcore.
Well, I see. It's it's though it is one of those ones. Don't want to be a used car salesman, and I talk about this every time I try to get people to play hardcore. You're gonna die. Period.
Yo,
You're gonna die. You're gonna have a character with a lot of really good gear and some really high level gems that you've gotten attached to because you've been playing them for 2 months straight and you've had a lot of close calls, but you
yeah.
always were able to get out of it some way or another. And then all of a sudden something bad is gonna happen. You're gonna lose your character. Sometimes it's something under your control. Sometimes it's gonna be a lag or a disconnect, but it will eventually happen. And that was a dog.
Do you see what he's doing?
No.
Just like laying upside down. No big deal.
Uh,
No, yeah, you're right though. You're
yeah.
gonna die.
Yeah, you are
Um,
going to die.
but it makes it more meaningful. Like the things that you're
Mhm.
doing, I feel like it makes it very meaningful.
Yeah, And it's like one of those ones, kind of like the romanticized version of like Bushido, like the samurai accepts their death so they don't fear it. Just kind of like what you have to do when you're playing hardcore. You accept it that you will lose that character. It will, well, you have memorable experiences, and you'll remember your deaths. Especially, he's going and talking about how he insta-procced his cheat death because a arcane beam dropped on him. I lost before season one. I lost a demon hunter. Or it's actually before patch 2.1. I lost a demon hunter to the exact same thing. It was before awareness was a cheat death, and my
Mm.
demon hunter is just arcane beam just plopped down on top of me, and I didn't notice it before it was too late. And I couldn't hit smoke screen fast enough, and pff, dead. So
Wow, wow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And people are asking in chat, and it's probably good to note that if you do want to take a screenshot within the game, just hit your print screen, and then you can go to your documents folder, Diablo 3 screenshots.
mhm,
But when you die, the game automatically takes a screenshot of your death, and so
mhm.
you don't actually have to hit the print screen. Just once you die, head to your folder, and you can
Yeah, you can see it
you
there.
can look through all your past deaths. It's really
It's like
discouraging.
a trip down memory lane. It's a great
Yeah,
experience. It's great.
yeah.
But
So
I guess going on into the actual feedback, our next one comes here from Power Axes, longtime listener. Uh, he he just said that he noticed the other day in Clan that I had started a witch doctor, and he wanted to bring up a couple of points. Something that I've talked about on previous episodes, that the Cat Mojo should have been called Mr. Pickles. They should have kept the name from BlizzCon and not renamed him Henry, because Henry is something that you would name a fictitious dog, not the cutest thing of all time.
mm,
So definitely Team Mr. Pickles, yes. And then the second one is that he wants to give props to the Wormwood staff, and that he doesn't think that it gets enough hype because it's in his opinion an incredibly powerful
it really is.
item, and it is because it actually casts Locust Swarm. Any items that you have that proc off of or benefit Locust Swarm also do the benefit from that proc, and that even though a lot of focus is on, say, the Star Metal Kukri or other in-game builds, the Wormwood staff is still amazing, and it really is, especially for like speed farming. The thing is just disgusting, because if you have high enough damage, you can just walk by and let everything around you die. Just stack on that high dot damage and watch everything just fall over. It is great. And he is just like going through and using like the Belt of Transcendent and the Mimic Mask, so that way you have the fetishes running around. The mimics are procking. The mimics are procking up,
Mimics.
popping up, and then casting more locust swarms, and everything is just dying. So there you go.
Yeah.
So yes, definitely in much agreement with you there. I love the Wormwood staff. It was one of the reasons why I rolled a Witch Doctor in season two.
It's fun.
Yep.
And I feel like it's a good staff to like if you don't have your other like end game weapons yet. It's always a good filler too,
Mhm.
just to have in the meantime.
Yep. I'm gonna let you take this next email while I will be right back.
Okay. So this next email is from uh, Ashton Allen. Sorry, I don't know if he wanted his full name on there, but Grits. Sorry about that. Uh, so he started out with saying, "Sup, fellas." He is a longtime listener, just now sending his first email. So thanks for sending an email. And yeah, we love hearing from you guys. If you're a longtime listeners, just shoot us an email. We love hearing from you. Um, Keep up the good work. We help him get through some of his tough work days. And so actually that's kind of funny because that's how I actually started listening to this show when before I came on board. I was just at work and I was like, man, I'm playing a lot of Diablo. I need something to listen to. Let's listen to Westmarch Workshop. Yeah. So, but he said that he was having some trouble and hoping that we could help him out. He's currently trying to do his uh, waist set and Bolcathos set build. So the whirlwind, and he's having trouble pushing greater risk past 55. Asking if he should be using Pain Enhancer or Bane of the Trapped. And for rings, he's using Unity Conviction combo, and he has Zodiac in the cube. And then on his ancient weapons, he currently has 10% damage rolled out on them. And wondering if he should swap those out for CDR. Um, and yeah, and so he's just saying that he's confused on what to do to maximize this build. So first off, I think it kind of comes down to what it is that you're struggling with the most um, on pushing past greater rift 55. So like if it's like the damage, like saying you're not doing the damage and you're not finishing in time, I would say swap your rings, your Unity and convention of elements, um, swap those out like we talked earlier to focus and restraint, and uh, that should give you a damage boost quite a bit. Um, I mean, it depends, and it also depends on if you're hardcore or softcore. If you are, if you're worried about toughness, if you're playing hardcore, you know, it might be that you feel most comfortable using the Unity, and you might need to find your damage somewhere else. Um, if so, I would recommend using Pain Enhancer. I feel like all I f- oh man, I just got like the Diablo 2 music just blasting in my ear because it finished
It
downloading.
is loud. It is loud
It
when
finished downloading. Scared me to death. Uh, but yeah, I would
just
recommend.
if just throwing it out there, public service announcement. If for whatever reason, after listening to this episode of Westmarch Workshop, and you do decide that you want to reinstall D2 and go back and play, the music is insanely loud when it pops up with the Blizzard
Yes.
North logo. So please turn down your speakers or your headset um, to not damage yourself or your equipment.
Yes. Just yes. That was scary. Now I gotta find my CD keys. Great. So yeah. Okay. So anyway, I would say try out Pain Enhancer. The thing is, though, is you could also like I would say swap between them. Try out Band of the Trap, but I would say Pain Enhancer is probably going to be your best bet, um, just for the pure uh, DPS boost. Um, so the other piece I would say, like I said, if you're having trouble with damage, uh, for sure go focus and restraint. I think what could have happened is he might be looking at the leaderboards and looking at those top people, and it looks like a lot of them are using the Unity and Convention of Elements combo, and that's probably because they're getting all their damage from other sources. Like they might have excellent weapons, excellent rolls in their rings, or something like that, and so they can afford to use the Unity and Convention of Elements combo to increase their toughness. So try out the focus and restraint combo, um, and then on his ancient weapons. CDR is really good, but then the percent damage is also really good. It kind of depends on the rest of your gear. Um, I would say I mean, like I said earlier, like just try out both and see. I think you'll find quickly because they are two pretty different skills, plus damage and CDR. You'll probably find out pretty quickly which one you prefer the most. Um, but yeah, that's what I would say. Like, and it, um, yeah, just kind of depends on like a lot of your other gear, to be honest. So keep us updated though.
Yeah, and I literally know nothing about barbarians and can't really offer any suggestions. Sorry,
Yeah.
not sorry.
So yeah, but I mean, Greater at 55 is pretty good. So
Better than me.
I wouldn't know I have a dead barb right now.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I was struggling with 50. So there we
All right.
go. Let's see. Our next one. This one comes in from Scary Space Beast. I like it.
Love that name.
Are you a Zerg or a Tyranid? I don't know. Anyways,
Scary Space Beast. Man, Bear,
uh,
Pig.
Man Bear Pig.
Half man, half pig.
Excelsior.
Half pig.
Um,
Super cereal,
that's
guys.
150%.
You don't even
Spe-
believe me. I'm super cereal.
Speaking of 150%, this is he had an idea last episode. He was here in chat with us, and like gave an idea about how what would it be like if as a gold sink it cost money to salvage gear. And that was one of those ones where it's like that would be a little bit too punishing if you had to pay to salvage, so it would unintentionally create a price for all of the mats that you had, and that's not really rewarding to the player. You don't get anything out of it. But he instead came up with a better way of coming about it, and his idea was to add something onto Zoltan Cool like Nephilim Alchemy, uh, that allowed you to activate certain bonuses for a tax, and it would be something along the lines of um, you can tax 5% of all of your gold that is dropped. Your white mats get automatically salvaged. 5% of all gold that drops, all of your blue mats, another 5%, all the yellow mats, or 10%, and um, instead of being, it's like when they automatically get picked up, they're then automatically salvaged. And then like another 10%, your gems get automatically picked up. Another 10%, Death's Breaths automatically get picked up, and then another 20%, like other things such as legendary potions and legendary items, automatically get picked up. And then you can increase the pickup radius of this effect by like another 50%, for another, like 25% gold. And all in total, with all of these like little things going and adding up, equals 110% of your gold drop. So that way, it would actually take money from you. So if
Mm,
you had like 1,000 gold drop and you picked it up, it would take 100 gold away from you. It's just like a way of going and kind of like um, creating a gold sink so you can automatically have everything picked up and salvaged for you, basically, and it just costs you a little bit of gold every time that you do it. You wouldn't be making any gold while these bonuses were in effect, or you'd be making next to nothing in terms of gold. I kind of like that
I
idea.
do.
It could be refined to a point where it'd be something like
Hmm.
you gold no longer drops and you gain these three benefits instead of being able to have everything. It's like, oh, well, I want to pick up Death's Breaths, I want to pick up gems, and I want to automatically salvage yellow items. I can like select those three, and so that way, as I'm going through, any yellow items that I accidentally click on or pick up automatically get salvaged as soon as they go into my inventory. In exchange for that, just no gold drops. Period. It doesn't cost me anything. But in the long run, it will, because I'm still crafting, I'm still enchanting, I'm still doing things that cost gold, but I'm not doing anything that uses gold. But at the same time, I can just go and run a vault and make up for it. I don't know.
Yeah. And I like this. I like this idea as being, um, a variable idea. Like, your it's a specific percentage of your gold. I don't know how I feel about automatically picking things up and
Hmm.
automatically salvaging, because I feel like that's a lot of the power that comes from Diablo. Why it feels so good is because there's crap just dumping all the time, like falling on the ground. And I think that's, one of the main reasons why they haven't gotten rid of like the white and blue items, is because, it feels good when you're killing things and just stuff is dropping everywhere, and you get to
Hmm.
decide what you want to pick up and what you don't want to pick up. It's annoying to pick everything up manually, and that we made a little bit of headway with picking up gold automatically. In Diablo 2 you couldn't. Um, and then when you pick up gems, like you pick up all those same types, or crafting mats, you pick up all the same types. But like auto picking up, I don't know if we'll ever see like out like past gold. Like I don't know if we would ever be able to auto pick up items. A, because you're going to fill up your stash super fast when you're getting to the higher levels, and B, because it just wouldn't feel as good. So, but I do like. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
But I do like the idea of paying a percentage of gold, like as you're playing for certain effects. They would have. I do feel like they'd have to be scalable slightly, but that's an interesting idea. It's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting idea for sure.
Yeah, if and when they ever get around to it. I remember that was one of the things going into Reaper. They were talking about having gems auto picked up, but then it was a bit too much. And I
Yeah.
believe it was Replay mentioned it here in chat that it was just like too much on like the coding side and created so many like logistic issues that it wasn't really something that they could do. Like
Mm.
they did compromise where if you pick up like one gem or like if you pick up an item, it will pick up all similar things as far as the crafting mats go to as like a little quality of life change, but they kind of still want that interaction there.
Which I'm okay with, like, because I think when you get to the point of like I'm just running through and like everything is just sweeping into my bags, it like I don't know, I picture like I picture like somebody like literally going through the sword in one hand, killing all these items, like killing all these monsters, and then the other hand he's holding a bag that's open and he's just like literally like walking by like as everything just jumps into his bags. I don't know, it's kind of stupid, but like I don't like the idea of just like everything being automatic and not doing anything manual. Granted, picking up gold automatically was a lifesaver, and going back to Diablo 2, that part is one of the harder things to get used to. But
Mm-hmm.
um, yeah, I don't know. That's just my thought. So interesting thoughts though on the percentage of gold dropped. So like before you even get the gold, you're already paying it.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like school loans.
Yeah.
So interesting
Okay.
thought.
Okay. I'm just
So
gonna go through and say that last comment made me smile. He actually made me smile. You win. There you go. Still not
what's
saying the
that?
name, but it made me smile. Uh,
uh, wait, what? I don't even know.
he who
I'm
shall not be
lost.
named in chat.
Oh, oh yeah. So we do have a
No,
person named
no,
the real
shut
Jar
up.
Jar
No,
Binks.
nah, god damn it.
The real Jar Jar Binks shows himself each each week in Twitch chat, and I don't know if we'll ever know who it is. So, yeah,
$10 on Fouch.
I don't. It could be.
Anyways.
All right, so I'll take the next one.
Okay.
So next one is a follow up for Chainin. So last week he was the one that was looking for a hardcore community because he was just getting into hardcore, but he lived in Australia, and so he was looking for a group to play with, and so he just wanted to let us know that he did find a clan name. It's called Hardcore Australia, abbreviated HCA, and they accepted him, and so he wanted to give a shout out to them. So shout out to those guys if anybody's listening. Um, he said he lost his witch doctor though because he jumped into Torment One too early, um, but the clan helped him back out, and he's Torment One viable, and he's soloing greater of 25, leveling up his gems, and he's cubing things. Um, so yeah, he's already Paragon 153, and so um, yeah, he's hesitant on bumping it up too high until he gets his final set pieces, and so I would agree with that. So be careful going up too high until you get your final pieces. And if you really need something to just like tie you over for the time being, maybe cube Royal Ring of Grandeur or something like that, just for the time being, and so you get that sixth bonus. Um, yeah, good to hear that. Uh, yeah, you're doing well, and Welcome to hardcore.
Yeah,
So,
and the big thing with there is utilize greater rifts.
yep,
You can use those because you can actually kind of like you don't have to make the jump from like Torment 1 to Torment 2. You can take
yeah,
baby steps. You can do greater rifts, incremental in between like the different Torment levels to know whether you can take on
it's a
the
good point.
next step or not.
Yeah, so I mean, he said he's doing solo 25s in 3 to 4 minutes. So, yeah, I would definitely, maybe slow roll, like, see if you can get to 30, like slowly but surely. And that's a good point. So,
Hmm.
cool. Keep us updated.
Yeah. And speaking of follow-up emails, we have another one in here from Dak, who sent us an idea for non-set play last week. And he just wanted to clarify because I guess I got the
I probably butchered
wrong.
it.
I got the kind of like took the wrong points from the email. He did also want to say that Dak is a slight Star Wars reference, so points to me for that. Yep, I caught that.
That's
Um,
me.
yep, that was me. That was me. Yep, all me.
That was
Yep,
me, Bob.
yep. Praise me, praise me. Um, but and it wasn't so much that his idea was around advocating where you could cube a actual set bonus onto a non-set item, but it was you could cube something like a base damage percentage, kind of like how the Immortal King's six-piece set bonus just gives you flat damage across the board, where it was going through and say you could like cube a couple different set pieces together and has a specific recipe where you can do this, and it will create an item for you that might give you just flat increases all your damage by 500%. Um, but it only takes effect while you have no sets equipped, or no like class sets equipped at all. So as soon as you like equip like a two-piece set bonus or even just like a single piece of gear, that's it, done, it's over. The property um, goes away. And then also just limiting it to a single craftable item, such as a chest piece, so that way you can't stack on multiple things. So that when you go through, you cube your item, you have it just as a single chest, increases your damage by 500%. You don't have any you can't equip any sets, so you can't do any like weird interactions with this piece. But it would hopefully his idea is that it would somehow scale with say Sash of Knives or Ondariel's Visage, that other things that have procs that do like weapon damage, percentage weapon damage effects, that it would buff those up maybe to a point that they would be somewhat useful. And so that was just his ideas for it. And then he also adds the note, anyways, love the podcast. It's a great distraction from traffic on my drive to and from work, but not distracting enough to be dangerous. Thankfully, we appreciate the tag and the side note
Yeah, that's
there.
a good thing.
Definitely do.
We've been getting a lot of those notes lately. People listen to us while they drive. I'd love to hear where people listen to us, like if they listen to us while they're driving or at work. I'm a podcast listener while I'm at work. So
Yeah. There. We also just speaking of podcast listeners. Apparently, there's some people that had issues listening to last week's
saw
episode.
that.
Um, it seems the couple of complaints that I've had have all been from the mobile app for iTunes podcast. It worked perfectly fine for me, though I do not yet have iOS 9. I'm a slacker. Um, so I don't know if that might be part of it, but it seemed to download perfectly fine for me the entire episode because they were complaining it would download everything, get to the end, and then error out, and then not work. It would give them an error that it could not be downloaded. It works perfectly fine on the FTP. I've had a lot of other people from iTunes, from Stitcher, from Podcaster, and a bunch of other podcast apps that it works perfectly fine. So I'm not sure exactly what the issue is there, and honestly don't know what else to check
I'm downloading it
on
right now to see.
on
I don't
our
listen to our
end.
podcast. Is that bad?
Yep. No, actually, I
That's good.
force myself to go and listen to it now. When Archon and Leviathan were doing the show, I would never listen to it. It's such a pain to listen to yourself talk.
I hate
Like,
it.
It's just
I
one
think
of
that
those
sounds
ones.
so weird.
Uh huh. But yeah, I guess if you experience any problems with the previous episode, episode 67, or this episode, episode 68, please let us know. Would definitely like to go through and get on top of that. We also did have a couple things where the artwork for the podcast isn't uploading on
That's
the
never
mobile.
showed up for me.
Yeah, it shows up on iTunes itself, but not on the podcast app. And I know how to fix that because I can embed an image into the ID3 tags directly in the MP3 itself. So
Hmm.
that is something that I will work on and remember to do
You son
for
of
this
a gun.
episode and all future ones. So there you go. That's
Nice.
um, by the time you hear this, if you're listening to it on one of the podcast apps, you already know whether it worked or not.
Hopefully it worked.
Hopefully it worked, and I just wasn't lazy and didn't do it. So, um, knock on wood for that one. Let's hope.
Nice.
uh, excuse me, pardon me. Are you ready for some items?
I'm ready for some items.
Let's hit on some items.
Items of the
The
week.
week, geeks
Yay!
in space. Sorry. Uh,
Items.
all right. So here we go. Items of the week. This first item that we have was sent in by PNPGM?
Something like that.
PNPGM? I don't. I, I
Yeah.
don't know. Sorry. It's all consonants and no vowels.
PGM.
It's not even like Fox vowels, like a Y or something. Um, pronunciation guide, please. Anyways, moving on. On to the important stuff. This one is a gift of Celeria, a ancient legendary sword. This is one that we don't see too much, but he was proud of it because it was a huge damage increase for his character, and
Very
so
nice.
as he lovingly put it, all of the dang it, I already forgot the word that he was using. Um, well, let me go back and pull up the actual email itself. Uh, all the bogus items that we normally show on the show, but it's still something that he is proud of, and I will proudly show off your item
Yeah.
here.
That's what,
And
if it's good to your character, that's all that matters, right?
yeah, and as you can see there in the stats window, is a pretty hefty damage increase,
Yep.
and it hasn't been touched yet. No rerolls on it. He's a starting witch doctor. And this one rolled 2,705 DPS, 938 intelligence, 948 vitality, 22,000 life per hit, and 12% movement speed increase.
Yep.
And then, of course, Ramalotnes for a socket and a secondary bonus to ignore durability loss. He also wanted to know what would probably be the best thing to re-roll on it. And I would probably say on this one, I'm not quite sure because this is one of those ones kind of like I always kind of pass on the wayside. But if you can re-roll like the 12% move speed into damage percentage, that would be one of the best things for you
Mm-hmm.
to at least get you on your way.
Yep. Anything
And that,
that's not going to directly relate to damage
hmm
is probably the best to reroll when you're so far. Like not so far. I don't know how far he is into his level 70, but yeah.
yeah. So that would definitely be how I would go about it. Is just go and re-roll the move speed. If you can't re-roll the move speed, then the life per hit into damage percentage, just to up the damage on the item, because that will be a greater bonus than re-rolling the base damage on the item.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep.
One important thing to say that as you get into set items and items with like legendary affixes and things like that, the sheet damage isn't always going to be your end all be all. So you're not always going to want to say, okay, this is plus this amount of damage on the sheet. It doesn't always mean that it's the better choice. Um, so you want to take into consideration, like your set bonuses, um, any gems you might be able to put in there, so on and so forth. So unfortunately, it's not as easy as always just looking at the damage increase or decrease.
Hmm. And continuing on with some Witch Doctor stuff from we have this Star Metal Kukri sent in from Daryl, and this one has 2,800 DPS, 8% weapon damage, 985 intelligence, increases critical hit damage by 32%, and had a Ramalodnes added on there for a socket, and of course the 10,000 life after each kill, and the legendary property of reduces the cooldown of Fetish Army and Big Bad Voodoo by 1 second each time one of your fetishes deal damage.
Pretty. That's power axes, I think.
Oh yeah, that was
I
power
think Daryl
axes.
has power axes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's any ancient star metal is beautiful.
Always and forever.
I love you forever.
Yep, and so far he hasn't re-rolled anything on it, and it is just
Mm,
added on the socket.
nice.
That does make me jelly. I never found a star medal on my Witch Doctor. Maybe I'll get lucky. Probably won't. Probably will not this season. Just being honest with myself here. Next, from David, we have an Ancient Fury of the Vanished Peak, and he is going to go through and start himself a Hammer Barb.
Nice.
Yeah, this one clocks in at 4,342 DPS. Is re-rolled for 10% weapon damage. Has Leet 1,337 Strength, 1,407 Vitality. Increases Seismic Slam damage by 26%, with the secondary bonuses of plus 21 to Maximum Fury, and reduces the Fury cost of Seismic Slam by 47%, with Faramalodnes for a socket.
Mm. I need some Ramalandis.
Yeah. If only I could gift it to you.
I know. The only one I've got this season so far is from Altair. He gave me one that he found because he's got like 10
I,
of them.
I'm not as lucky as I was last season, but I still do have two of them sitting in my bank for right now. Next, we have Felix going through and sending us in this wonderful little blood brother. This one clocks in at 4,453 DPS. His 10% damage, 1,327 dexterity, increases attack speed by 5%, ignores durability loss, and also grants a 19% chance to block attacks. And when blocked, the attack will inflict 30% less damage, and your next attack will inflict 30% more damage. This is one that I've seen you kind of like get thrown around there. Especially, I've seen a lot of theory crafting for Crusaders since they actually can equip this in a shield, and how it might affect for if you're getting beat on by a lot of enemies, how many attacks it will actually go and pump out the 30% damage boost for. It's a fun, nice little item. I
It
wonder
is
if they might
fun.
be able to change it around that instead of actually blocking, it will have a proc that reduces your damage by 30% for like 2 seconds or 3 seconds, and then also increases your damage that you do for all attacks by 30% for those 3 seconds. Now, I don't know if that's going to be like too overpowered and push that past, furnace levels. But that was just like one of those ones. I think it's just like a little bit of tweaking, and it could be like overpowered. It's
Mm,
one of those ones that's just like a little
you gotta be
tweak and it could
careful.
be like super powerful. Felix actually sent in two Blood Brothers, but I'm only showing one. This is the best one. He did have another one that he sent in. Just want to go through and say that. And actually, it's Blood Brother is special for me this season because it is like the highest damage weapon that I found so far, and so I've been using it with my Gem of Ease to level characters with.
Nice.
Yeah, so just a little fun fact of Nine Ball season, in case you,
Nine ball
for
fun fact.
whatever, yeah, for in case you cared for some reason or another. And our final item that we have coming in is from Baz here that you don't see this item a lot. Well, actually, you do, but it immediately gets turned into a cow farm.
I know
Is the
it.
bovine Bardich? Bard, am I saying this right? We always it
Bard
always gets
Bardiche.
Bardiche. It always
I
gets
don't.
like corrected and
Yeah.
recorrected and all that so much in clam chat that I've forgotten what the actual pronunciation was.
I don't honestly don't know.
But he just wanted to go through and show it off because so often it actually just gets it just gets salvaged.
Mm-hmm.
Um, or not salvaged. It gets cubed and turned into a Moo farm.
Yep.
But this one came in at 3,832 DPS, has 1,262 strength, 1,378 vitality, reduces the cooldown of all skills by 6%, 16,000 life after each kill, and the legendary property that you would know about if you ever actually used it instead of cubing it is a chance on hit to summon a herd of murderous cows.
And don't forget, you need to save one of these to cube it to extract the power as well.
Mm-hmm.
So not only do you need it, do you need to cube it to get? Yeah, there's so many uses for the bovine bardiche now.
Yeah,
You could
like
use it. You
it
could
it
cube it two different ways.
it actually has a use.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, it has, I guess, like you say, it has two uses. You can use it to help get your 100 cubed items, or you can use it to open up a
Yeah.
Moo farm. I still have not yet cubed a puzzle ring or the bovine bardiche because, well, yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
haven't done a puzzle ring yet because puzzle ring is like it's too hard to just pass up and say, "Oh, I don't need it."
Yeah,
It's
and
just
because especially like when you're doing it on Torment 10, when you kill Greed,
yeah.
it's just there's so many items that
Oh my
drop.
gosh, yes.
So many items. Oh my god.
Summon it.
Oh my god. Who cares about the
OMG.
gold? Um,
We just lost viewers.
uh, but yeah,
Is that all we got?
that's it.
I just saw my face pop back up, and so
Yeah, no, that was it for items. That's all I got, yo.
uh, we'll fancy that.
That's all I got.
See, we still like, even though we didn't have a ton to talk about, we still talk a lot. We're pretty good at
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah, no, it's one of those ones. We haven't gotten any new reviews on iTunes lately, but it does definitely go through and help us out. We will go through and make some of those changes to make sure that the artwork pops up for the podcast. Make that a little bit sexier for our podcast listeners, definitely. But yeah, if you want to go and send in something to the show, let us know how we're doing. We always appreciate emails and comments. So you can email us your items and feedback as well as ideas for the game at westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at the WM Workshop. You can follow us individually. I'm at Nineball Gamer. My cohort in crime here is at LT Lunatic 22. If you want to hit us up on the Twitter, the Twitterverse. Speaking of Twitter, I still don't understand Twitter moments. Not a single thing so far has been
I
relevant
saw
to
that
my
today,
interest.
and I haven't really looked.
I really don't care whose birthday or this some guy punched another guy. Whatever. Um, anyways, moving on. You can also find more about the topics that we discussed tonight and more checking out our website, Diablo at blizzpro.com. You can find the live stream every Wednesday night, or we try to be every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/BlizzPro. And while you're here, go ahead, click the follow button, and check out some of the other shows that we do. Every Sunday night, we have the Well Met podcast with Eldorian, co-founder of BlizzPro, where they talk about Hearthstone. Monday nights is the Twizcast. It's about an hour and a half of every single Blizzard franchise, hitting up all the news, reviews, and stuff you can use for anything in the Blizzard universe. And Tuesday nights, we have the Heroes Power Hour, where we talk about the game, we play the game, we invite the Patreons to come and play with it. And hey, I'm there every once in a while. So you
Hey,
can go through and hear me blab on about another game if you're so inclined. But you can also find us in game as well. We are the Blizz Pro clan. We do have some spots open, but we do have a long wait list of people to get in as we go and rotate invites out. But we always give precedence to people that send us in an email telling us who they are, and basically where they're coming from. Let us know a little bit about yourself, and why you want to join the clan. We love to hear your stories, even if it's just something as short and simple as, hey guys, I love the show and I want to try out hardcore. Or, hey guys, I love
Hmm.
the show. I don't play hardcore, never gonna play hardcore, but I just want to go through and chat with you people. We'll go through, and get you in as opposed to just someone who we don't know. I don't want to say some random Joe Schmo, because we appreciate every single person that sends in an invite to want to join the guild. So we don't hold that against anyone at all.
I will have to say that I'm probably not going to send an invite to somebody that has an appropriate battle tag name. I'm
Uh,
just throwing that
I,
out there right now.
I have something about that for the after show,
Okay.
going through in this last week, and I played a little bit of Destiny and some of the people I got grouped up with, but that's on for that's on for another story. Um, um, but yeah, we will never discriminate hardcore or softcore in the clan. The majority
Yeah.
of the clan, just so even though Lieutenant Lunatic and I and Steven and most of the other people that we've had on the show always go on about hardcore, the majority of the clan is softcore. We're always looking for hardcore players, though. Just
Yes.
throwing it
If
out
you're
there.
hardcore, please come play with us.
If you don't want to leave your current clan, we still have the Westmarch Workshop community, so you can go through, join, chat with us. Still, we're always in there. Our raid call is no more, but we do have a new TeamSpeak. Our server is blizzpro.typefrag.com, port 6250. No password. You can go through, download TeamSpeak, come hang out and chat. Um, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I think that about does it.
That about does it.
Yeah. Just going back to the iTunes thing, we'll definitely try and get that up in order. And we appreciate any 5-star reviews or any reviews that you can give us. It really helps us out, helps expand the community. The more favorable reviews that we have, the bigger traffic it is, the more people will see us if they search for gaming podcasts or Diablo podcasts in particular.
Yep.
And with that, do you have anything to close out with?
Got the buck fever this weekend, guys. I'm gonna get a deer.
Going to get a deer.
Going to get a
I
deer.
will send you like a small deer figurine, just so that way
Oh.
you will not have any excuse to come back next episode without a deer.
I will tweet out a picture once I get it. Don't worry. Try to
Okay.
limit the blood.
All right. All right. Well, there you go. This is how the episode ends. Will it drop real life loot?
Ooh.
It drops beef jerky.
Does it?
No, no, not beef jerky. What am I talking about? That would be weird. That'd be so weird. I have no idea where I'm going. Good night,
Deer
everybody.
jerky. It drops
Good,
deer jerky.
good night.
See ya.
Episode over.